let's just talk. So, Mr. Harjani, thank you so much for giving me some time today. And I wonder if you could just tell me a little bit about your environment.
Yeah, so I have a number of like cloud service providers, CSPs that I connect to. We have a lot of applications in there. And here I just want to make sure that how I can save some money. There are some performance-based decisions that I might need to make. I just have no visibility into it. There's no one place that I can look at it. So it sounded like this Turbo tool could be a good one that could help me look at all my applications across the CSPs and be able to see
Yeah.
how are they performing. And so I'm looking
Okay.
forward to having a solution to get down that path.
Okay. And so you're using multiple cloud service providers, like what would that be, like AWS and Azure, or using others?
AWS, yes, AWS, Azure, and GCP are the key.
Oh, okay. GCP, great. We support all of those. And what apps are you running right now?
There's more internal applications, and there are some like external customer-facing applications,
Okay.
more like any, which are primarily like containerized or microservices that are running
Okay.
on those cloud platforms.
Okay, great. And are you using OpenShift, using EKS, AKS?
OpenShift.
Great. So you're running OpenShift in your cloud environment?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, great. And how are you today? How are you assuring performance today?
Just looking at the different individual application, like we have a homegrown system that we can just look at the performance of these applications, but it doesn't give a holistic view of all the applications. So, and we use the GCP's available tools to kind of like utilities to kind of look at the performance, but nothing concrete or a one-stop shop.
Okay, so what happens if you will, let's say, I mean, do you have performance issues today? Do you have
Yes,
times
I
where
do.
okay, and so how do you deal with that? When you have a performance issue, what happens next?
Yeah, so there's peak periods and like during the holiday season, say, assuming I'm a retailer, during the peak seasons, we always see influx of like performance degradation among certain applications which are hit really hard.
Uh-huh.
But then there's no way for us to kind of like have a clear visibility into like how we can leverage
Right.
probably additional capacity.
Okay. So let's say today, like let's say today you had an outage or a performance issue of some sort. What would be your next step?
Okay, now that's getting into turbo details. I'm not sure.
Well, no, well, what I mean is, wouldn't you? Okay, so I've been in IT for, about 35 years, and I've been in many of these calls where something broke, something stopped working. Let's say the CIO gets a call, can't log in, and we all get called into a meeting, right? They get the network person, they get the virtualization person, the storage person, they get all these people
Yeah.
into a room, right? Do you have that kind of thing go on,
Oh, yes, we do.
right?
So we huddle up with all the infrastructure administrators, application owners, and then we kind of brainstorm as to like what the root cause of that particular performance is, and then try to figure out what the next steps or
Right.
action should be.
Right, right. Okay, exactly. And so what happens there, each of the people in that room is kind of seeking the mean time to not me, right? Because no one wants to be the reason that this meeting got
Yes,
called. But eventually we
absolutely.
figure it out, right? It was Billy, right? Billy made a change, right? Um,
It's always Billy.
it's always Billy. And what happened was Billy said, I'm going to make some change. I'm not going to go through the normal change review process because it's so small. Besides, I'm an expert in my domain, and my tool says this is a good and safe thing to do. And maybe Billy's even done this before, and it worked. But this time, because Billy didn't see the consequences of his change on other layers of the stack, it had repercussions that caused an outage. And so Billy learned a couple things that we all learned something in that meeting. We all learned don't be Billy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't take action unless it's absolutely necessary, right? And this is how the industry has led us now to how we solve performance problems. We essentially are waiting for things to break and
Mm-hmm.
then we fix them. And so
That's
unfortunately,
true.
we're actually in a position of not assuring performance. We're in the position of waiting for performance to fail and then fixing it. Now think of how much that costs you. First off, you lost performance, right? And when that happened, there was real customer impact. I mean, I think Amazon loses something like $1 million a minute if they have like a half second latency increase, right? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
depending on the size of your organization, the importance of the application, that slowdown, that outage is impactful. Think then about how much it costs you in terms of all of those people who now have to change what they're doing and come to this war room and do research and figure out, right? It's that
Mm-hmm.
that performance impact is enormous.
Yeah, so
And
you're
this
saying
is
that you have a tool that can make me proactively look at the resources and
you're
manage
jumping
to.
ahead.
Okay.
You're stealing my
Mhm.
thunder, but you're right. I mean,
Okay.
but think about that. Why don't we do that now? Because we learned early in our careers, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're in IT, you don't want to be Billy, right? And so what
True.
do? We say, let's say I had some suggest I'm a really smart virtualization engineer, and I realize if I change this setting in vCenter or I change this setting in my cloud VMs, I can get a huge increase in performance. I can get a 5% increase in performance. What do? I go to a change review board, I submit it, and then maybe a month later we take the action, right? So we are conditioned to be action averse. So,
Okay.
but in order to assure performance, which turns out well over 80% of these performance issues are caused by resource congestion. In order to solve that problem, we need to adjust resource allocations proactively, right?
Mhm.
You can't just give
Right.
every VM 5 times what it needs. You can't size for peaks. It's
Yeah, that's not going
horrendously
to cost
expensive.
me.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
heard you also say cost is an issue, right? By the
Mm-hmm.
way, I have a simple way to solve your cost problem. You don't even need to buy our software. Cut all your VMs in half, right? But you're but
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to do that. And I know why, because you really have a performance problem. That's what we have to solve first. So to solve that performance problem, we have to adjust resource allocations proactively. Now, why don't we do that already? Because we need to know that those actions are safe and good because we don't want to be Billy. We don't want to be the one who caused some kind of outage. And so, in order for that action to be safe and good, I have to know that that action takes into account all of its ripple effects all up and down the stack.
That's
Now,
true.
now, what if we could do that? What if I could give you a system that could continuously assure application performance at the lowest cost all the time? You wouldn't just be saving money on your VMs, which is good, but it's not nearly as much as you're going to save on always assuring performance because your customer satisfaction will remain high. Your ticket queues will be small. Your staff will be able to devote themselves to tasks which add value to your environment rather than being constantly in the reactive mode putting out fires.
That will be perfect. I mean, I'm curious to see the tool now. Like, what's the solution you have in the bag?
Have I got a tool for you? Okay, so let's talk about Turbonomic. The people who invented Turbonomic have collectively, 100 years of IT management experience. They did their PhDs in developing this technology, and what they've implemented is a system which first goes through your environment and learns everything. Using agentless discovery, we're able to talk to your clouds, your on-prem hypervisors, your application performance managers, your storage utilities, um, and a variety of other targets and stitch everything together into one cohesive representation. And what you're seeing here on my screen is the visual representation of that. That's, we call that the supply chain. And it's, think of it as a resource dependency graph. It shows who needs resources from who, right? Now, if this was all we provided, we've addressed the visibility issue. It's immensely valuable just for this, just to be able to see. You may not even realize I've got this business application. Let's pick one here. Product man, top 10 business applications. Here they come. Let's take easy travel, running in GKE container D. You might not even realize all of the things it depends on, because in a modern containerized microservice application, I could have some little service that is actually part of 5 different business apps. You remember the log4j issue? It was, did you
Oh,
get
I
affected?
do.
Yeah, that was one.
Yes,
All that little thing did was logging, right? And when that little
true.
service became unavailable, it took down like the whole world. So just seeing what depends on what is immensely valuable. And we do that out of the box. By the way, it takes about 30 minutes to build this, right? You install Turbonomic, takes less than an hour to install, very easy to install. And then you add your targets, which just requires basic credentials like username, password, what's the IP address or host name where the service runs. And boom, within 30 minutes, we've built this supply chain, right, for your whole environment. So that's what we begin with. Agentless discovery, very, very quick, and we're able to build a view of your whole environment. And then what we do is, using the information that we discover, transparently, we're able to generate actions which you can execute, which will assure performance and use the environment efficiently. And typically, like if we were to move this to a POV, what the first thing what we would do after we install Turbonomic is we would look at some actions. There will typically be, within the first hour, actions you can take which would assure performance, and actions you can take which will save you money. Some of them will even be completely non-disruptive. But just to show you what kinds of actions we might do. Well, first I want to show you here. I showed you a business application in the dependent services. You could also go directly to, say, a virtual machine. And this virtual machine could be in your cloud environment, any one of your cloud environments. It doesn't matter. They're all VMs to us. It could be in your on-prem environment. And I could pick one, like let's take this one, VCO1 CentOS M16. And here's an action that has been generated on this to scale up. Now, in this case, what's going on is we recognize that this VM is constrained on resources, and therefore, to assure application performance, we need to give it more resources. Now, if we had a lot more time, I would explain how the analytics work, and they are absolutely mind-blowing. I've been in IT for 35 years. I have never seen software so valuable as Turbonomic. It absolutely works. In the early days of Turbonomic, I would be at client sites, and we'd see some action, and the client would say to me, I don't understand why that action makes sense. And I'd look at it and I say, I don't see why that action makes sense either. And I'd call my guy on the market team, the developer, and he would find out, oh yeah, it has to do with why this VM needs this resource or that resource. That's why it's taking this action. They're always right. But what you'll also see is actions which save money. And let's, a typical one, you'll see, let's go to the cloud. Here's some low-hanging fruit that we'll probably be able to do. Like if we did a POV in your environment, we would right away be able to probably do some of these volume delete actions. Now, this is low-hanging fruit. We instantly discover all the volumes in your environment that are not attached to a VM. Now, it's true that could be a volume that you're keeping around, but most of the time what we find is somebody deleted a VM and they forgot to delete the volume. Now, Roshan, do you have any questions so far? Is this making sense to you?
This is making sense. Just like outside, like coming out of the role-playing scenario, the thing is like it'll be nice to see like more in terms of like value based, like, okay, how do I identify those things that are going to help me, where I see the value of it, how can I execute on certain things
Yeah,
to bring the sprint down. So is there any flow that you have that can show
yeah,
me like, okay, these are all my applications are connected, this is what it is
right.
showing now, and then
Yeah.
this is some
So
recommendations.
so right here on these volume delete actions, we could simply select the action. Now this volume, it's on GP2, it's 1000 gigabytes. If we delete this volume, we're going to save you $100 a month right now.
Wow,
And
I
all you
like
have
that.
to do is select it
That
and
statement
execute.
is nice.
Now, I could select all of them, and I'm going to save, with all of these volumes, I'm going to save $280, $76 a month. Boom, done. Now, I'm not going to do it
That's
right now because this is our
that's the
demo
value.
environment. Okay.
Sure.
But here, but what I want to emphasize here too is if you look at what Turbonomic is going to recommend in your environment holistically, you're going to see both investments and savings, both places where you need to spend a little bit more money to assure performance, and places where you can save some money. And let's take a look at some performance actions as well. Um,
Yeah, I want to see what the necessary investments are. That's curious. I'm curious
sure,
to see.
sure. Now this is very interesting here. One of the things that makes Turbonomics so powerful is that our actions are actually automatable. What do I mean by that? It's not just that I have the mechanism to turn it on and automate it, but that we know that we are right because we know what we know and we know what we don't know. So we know when we make a decision that we are only going to improve things. Either we're going to save money or we're going to assure performance. Sometimes we're going to do both, which is kind of counterintuitive, but I've seen actions like that. In this case, this action, what is the action here? We want to, looks like we want to change the instance type to a P3X2 large. We can't take the action because there are some prerequisites which have not been met. In other words, we know that before you take this action, something else has to happen first. It could be if there's, well, let's take a look. Let's see what it is.
Is there a
Um,
workflow portion to this which can guide you through the process of like what actions need to take to be able to execute on it?
Yeah, so, sometimes it will tell us. Here we go. Execution prerequisites. This CUDA applications running on automation that may need to be reconfigured or recompiled to execute on the new accelerated instance. So we've recognized, and this is because we've got an APM in here as well. We understand something that's running there that it may not run on the new hardware. So we're telling you, you got to do something to the application in order to take advantage of this action. In other cases, though, let's go back to the all. This one's a resize up. This one we could take again. I can select this and execute it. Now, of course, changing the instance type in the cloud is a
Mhm.
disruptive action, right? And when you think about automation, I'm going to guess that you're not okay with VMs rebooting any time of day or night. Am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Right. So
That's a
one of the
no.
things that you want to do, and this is something that we will do like as part of the whole post-sales engagement, or even in a POV, is in operationalizing Turbonomic, what you have to do is, work it into the way you work. So in most environments, there's such a thing as a maintenance window. So what we can do is create a policy which will say that actions like this can be executed automatically, but only during a maintenance window. Now,
Okay.
did I sufficiently show you how we would take actions or what the workflow would be, or is there something else you'd like to see?
So where do we maintain those policies?
Sure. It's a great question. Now, again, to show you how to create the policies is, I've been teaching the class for years. It takes a good, 4 or 5 hours to go through all of how to create the policies. But fundamentally, what you typically do is start by creating a group. You would create a group for, let's say, I've got some group of VMs. I'll make a group of virtual machines real quickly here. And let's say I want to make a policy for some group of VMs. I could create it using just selecting a couple of VMs. I could also make it a
Mhm.
dynamic group defined by filters,
Okay.
like by VM name using regular expression by the guest OS. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to create a static group with just a couple of entities. And this will be, I'll call this DBF test. Okay, so now I've got a group of VMs, and let's say these VMs I want to allow them to scale up, but only during a maintenance window. So then what I would do is go back to settings, and now I would make a policy, and I'd say make a new policy. This would be an automation policy, and
That's nice.
yeah. Now, why is my UI not showing me? There we go. Automation policy on virtual machines. And for my scope, I select the group I just made. There's my scope. So these VMs will be affected by the policy. And what I'm going to say is that these VMs, and I'm going to add cloud scale all. So cloud scaling actions are generally disruptive. I want to make
Hmm.
that. So I want to make them automated. Okay. But I want to do it only during a schedule. So I'll go into
Okay,
policy
got it.
schedule, attach a schedule. And
Perfect.
do we have a schedule? Where did the window go? I am not seeing the window. Well, hold on here. My screen has frozen. So this is where I should have a video of the whole demo.
Yeah. No, I know these things do happen, and if it does, then how you recover from it is the key. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's okay.
So
It's
I'm
my
going to,
internet. Blame it on something else.
so suffice to say that at that policy I was creating, I could have attached a schedule. And here's a
Okay,
schedule that we already have defined called off hours. And what this one
perfect.
says is every week on looks like it's set for every day of the week, starting in this state, starting at 11 p.m. for 5 hours. All right, that's the schedule. Every day of the week from 11 p.m. for the next 5 hours. So 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And it's reckoned in the New York time zone. Okay, that's a schedule. So what I could do, let's go back to policy,
And you
settings,
can
policy.
attach that
Exactly.
schedule to it.
Exactly. So I didn't finish creating the policy,
Hmm?
but so it didn't get saved. But the point is, what I would do then is now I could do it two ways. I could make it a policy schedule, or I could make it an execution schedule. And the way so, and the difference is subtle. But but either way, where is it? Add action. There we go. So I could say, select again, cloud scale all, and add the execution schedule off hours. So now
Um,
the difference is a policy schedule. Well, I don't need to go into details. The point is what this does is it says when those actions show up, they will only be executed during the execution window,
that
during
makes
that
sense.
off hours that we set. So I would go again, I've got actually, I wanted to edit that. Actually, I didn't want it to be manual. I wanted this to be automated. So this will say automated, but only during that time. And that way you
Oh,
know
awesome.
that those disruptive actions will only take place when it's allowable. And of course, you may have different groups within your organization, which have
Hmm.
different maintenance windows. So we can set them up for all of them. And that way you can move towards operationalization. So the thing that I also want to point out to you is that the key deliverable of Turbonomic is assuring performance all the time. And so you're going to want to take both the performance actions and the savings actions. That being said, the typical customer who adopts our software has an ROI of 66 months just on the savings, not even taking into account the economic benefit of assuring performance all the time, which we talked about a little while ago. So, what do you think? Is this something that could help you?
This definitely could help. I mean, it's nice to get a complete picture of all our applications and see where we can save on the cost or where the resources need more action, as well as where we can save on some resources. Is there a exhibit? Is there a page where you can see the executable action items that I can take on certain applications?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So from the supply chain, I can focus in on any entity, and there's a number of ways I might do it. So for instance, maybe I'm an app owner, so I'm concerned about my app. So let's say I own the mobile banking transfers app, and I can scope to that app and then see all of the actions related to this application to assure the performance efficiently of this application. And you'll see that they can be anywhere in the stack because this is the thing in the modern data center where we have containerized microservice applications. The complexity is exponentially increasing, and you can have congestion anywhere in the stack that will impact every application that depends on that piece of the infrastructure. So to assure the mobile banking transfers app to assure its performance efficiently, we have actions on the storage. We have actions on the host that the VMs are running on. We have actions on the VMs. We have actions on the app components and on the services.
Perfect. And is there a overall view that you could get for all the actions which are and what's the cost associated with it? Like that's in the
Absolutely.
homepage?
Absolutely. So let's say if you're primarily interested in the cloud, we have a really nice dashboard there. This view is showing us now. This is our demo environment, and
Yeah.
so it's well if this is compelling to you, what we can do is a proof of value where we will actually run Turbonomic in your against your environment. We'll run it in our cloud, connect to your cloud account, and and show you real savings and real investments for your environment. But what I typically see is almost a 10 to 1. It's very common to see 10 times the savings versus the investment required. But this is where you're seeing the overall savings. Then if you wanted to see the overall actions, you could either see just the savings or just the investment actions, or you could also, let's see, there's the pending actions widget. You can say show all, and this shows you
Hmm.
all the actions organized by action type and on what type of entity they apply to. That's one way to get to it. But let's say you own a VM. You're concerned about a particular VM. I could also go to search. Let's say I find let's see, I don't know the names of the VMs here. Let's see if there's a DBF VM out there. Nope, there isn't. How about tests? Is there a test VM out there? There we go. There's a VM. Let's say I'm the test engineer and I just want to know, are there any actions on my VM? So I scope to just the VM and I see what
Hmm.
actions apply to that VM. By the way, notice this also. I've got a supply chain oriented around that VM. So I can see everything the VM depends on as well as everything that depends on this VM.
Mm. No, this is good.
Yeah.
Size down vCPU virtual machines. Good. So these are some pending actions that we could take on them.
Absolutely. We could say execute the action right away. Again, I'm not going to do this because it's our demo environment.
Sure.
But let's say this was your environment. What I would do is I'd say, Roshan, can we take that action? And you might say yes, or you might say no, or you might say, well, yes, but Billy owns that VM. He's earned his way back into everyone's good graces, and now we've let him own a VM. And then we say, okay, let's call Billy. And we get to someone's going to push that button. Maybe it's you, maybe it's Billy. We'll push that button and take the action, and then we'll see. Did
Absolutely.
can we still assure performance? In this case, this is an efficiency action. We're going to
Mhm.
resize down from two vCPUs to one vCPU. Because what we're seeing here is that CPU utilization. Again, I don't want to go too deep into the weeds, but we do a deep analysis to understand how can we safely scale down. It's interesting. In the early days of Turbonomic, we were much more cautious. We would never scale down below peaks. And you know what our clients said? We want to be more aggressive. We want to take a little bit of risk, and it's rational. Because if you think about it, there is a trade-off in risk
Mhm.
and performance. If you're not willing to take any risk, you can run your business that way, but it's a business decision, right? There are some environments where you just can't take any risk. Fine, we can configure Turbo to run that way. But many times, just like do you over provision your hosts? Do you
We do.
right? Well, you're
We can
taking
and do.
risk.
Yep.
You're taking risk. Now, it's a calculated risk. It's a good risk to take, and you get a lot from that risk.
Mhm.
Similarly, we can configure VM to take a little bit of risk in scaling, right? That gives you a lot more elasticity, right? In a calculated, measured way. And you can dial in exactly how much risk you want to take. And this is one of the things that we bring out in the training for this product is that Turbonomic gives you a way to be very intentional about just how much risk you want to take in your environment.
Got it. This is great. It'd be nice to kind of jump into a POV and see how this works on our environment, at least one of our cloud platforms.
I'll have my seller send over a contract today.
Wish it was that easy. No, but David, no, this is good. No, I like that. I like your flow. I like the confidence with which you like project the product because it shows that you believe in it, and that's the
Yeah.
main thing. I mean, if you believe in it, then it's easy to sell.